Johnson, and this is focused on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmas, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pocondre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia. For Liberia, Liberia. For Liberia, yeah, 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 yeah. From Monday to Sunday. From Monday to Sunday. It's focused on Liberia. Talk about home affairs. Hey. In diaspora. Current affairs. Hey. Reliable information. History. Ooh. Talking about culture. Yeah. Politics. Education. Entertainment. Yeah. Business. Sports. Alright.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jar.
And I am Anthony Siet. A pleasant welcome to Focus on Liberia. We have interesting topics to discuss, and I'm glad to have my good friend Dr. Pearson here, who's going to help me to unpack these very important or significant topics. If you are just joining us, we will ask you to do us a favor and share the broadcast. You have heard us discuss national issues on this platform. Tonight is a different discussion on a different level. For the issues are serious, and we are ready to have a very sober discussion this evening. And so good evening and welcome to Focus on Liberia. I'm Anthony Siet, your host. Tonight, we bring you one of the most consequential conversations about the future of our nation, Liberia. From the bulldozer clearing Monrovia communities to the burning question of who truly belongs as a Liberian, to taking stock of President Joseph Mbwaka administration as it crosses the threshold into its third year. Tonight, we go deep, we go honest, and we on unfiltered. Joining us tonight is the man that Clarence R. Pearson. We refer to him as Focus on Liberia, neo-progressive commentator. He is an author and an educator. Dr. Pearson, my good friend, how you doing, man?
Man, it's a pleasure being on the show tonight. I want to say hi to you, Anthony, and to all our viewers and listeners out there. Look, Liberia is all we have as a people, and it's a pleasure being a part of the conversation as we contribute towards the development of our country by sharing our opinions, advocacy, and neo-progressively pushing for what is right. No mediocrity, no small thinking, no minimalist thinking. We have to think big for Liberia to succeed.
And I don't disagree with you. You know, the small-mindedness, the minimalism is just way too much. People doing the bare minimum and they want to get celebrated. That is the path we've been on all these many years. And as we speak, We don't have light going to our airport. It stopped like what, 25% or less. But let's get to the issue here. If you are just joining us, we ask you to share the broadcast very quickly. The issues are serious. We have three major issues on our menu. We'll be discussing citizenship. There's a debate that is going on, and we want to participate in that national conversation. And so we have three major topics on the table tonight. And we begin with the government's demolition campaign, then move to a citizenship clause debate. And then after that, we will be looking at, President Bouaka now being in power. This is year 3. We will be doing a little more of an assessment. Dr. Pearson, let's get started. Let's get to our first topic here, the demolition efforts of the government. My first question here is simple. The government has identified these, the government has justified these demolitions as necessary for urban development and public infrastructure. In your assessment, my good friend, is this demolition campaign being carried out with proper legal authority and due process, or are citizens' rights being trampled on in the name of development here? How you see it, my friend?
Thank you, Anthony. You asked a fundamental question, and the fundamental question is, is it okay that we should be having these demolitions taking place? The answer to that first question you asked, in my view, yes, is as you said. The second point you raised is the manner in which they're doing it. Is it proper? Is it legal? And that's a different conversation all by itself. So let me start with let me emphasize on the first point. So, do we want to see Liberia properly lay out the other developed countries around the world and major cities around the world? Like some of us we've traveled extensively, right? And having traveled and gone abroad and seeing how other people's country looks, how developed it is, you want to go back home and see Liberia looking as comparable to what you see outside there. But to see Liberia comparable to what we see there has to be commitment and dedication to ensure that we put in what it takes to bring the country to where it's supposed to be. So then the fact I've consented that it is a good thing that we should be clearing up alleyways, breaking down illegal structures and stuff, then what is the best way to do it? Anthony, there's a legal component and there's a human component to it, right? The legal component has to do with if you squatting on somebody's property and it's not your property, yes, you have to vacate that space for the proper owner to take over that space. But again, Liberia is of such that lands get sold to many owners over the time. Other people abandon land for many years, 20, 30 years, 40 years. All right. So those dynamics has to be played out legally. Now it comes to how we affect our land rights, art. It also has to do with how the courts sit over cases to ensure that people who want to evict people, their deeds are genuine. Don't be surprised, Anthony. There are people who go and seek out in the archive other people's deeds for their lands, or they do a fixed survey and they put an announcement. Everybody come with your deeds, and when you go your deed, Anthony, they look at your deed and they take your deeds date, the date of the deed, and go back and make new deeds and backdate their deeds, and then go to court and claim lands. People are said to be surveying land now. It's alleged people are surveying lands undercover and probating the deeds with backdated dates that will go into the courts, and then they claim people land. So all of these legal issues has to be addressed. A legal issue I want to bring over there's a problem in the probate courts, right? There are problems in the probate courts, and what we see happening in probate court is that Anthony buy a land and he probate the land. Mary comes and buy the same land, and she go and probate the same land. Paul come and buy the land, and he probates the same land, and the probate court is probating all the lands without double checking. Yeah, the same land, prohibiting the same land without double checking that this land has been sold before. All right. Is our land authority doing background check on some of these lands? Yes. Do they have control over all of the lands that are being double sold? No, because of we're doing paper archiving, not digital archiving. So we have to have a digital system that is able to track these different lands and give them labels and code, geo mapping codes that will enable us to be able to identify this spot from geo mapping has been already sold out to somebody else. And then the human face that I want to talk about, and I gave you the time. We need to us here tonight, so we get enough time. And so then we in a hurry. The human face aspect I want to bring to the conversation is that, yeah, people are squatting in other ways. People are squatting on government property and other stuff that we saw the president saying, government buying new land, you want AFL land, then move from there, stuff like that. But
did he say government, or did he say God is not giving new land?
God is not making new land. Thank you for the correction. But what we want to stress here is that not everyone who is squatting or everyone who is on other people's property or on government property are there because they want to be hard-headed. And so we have a history of 14 years of civil crisis. In addition to the 14 years of civil crisis, 6 years to recover. In addition to the 6 years to recover, another 6 years to see structure being rebuilt. And over that period of close to 14 plus 12, maybe 26 years, we had a situation where maybe close to 30 years, we've not had a hard conversation as a country where we sat down and said, listen, there were people who were displaced by the war, right? They didn't go looking to remove themselves from where they were located, whether from rural location to come to urban areas. They were forced there, either seeking protection on a mill, or they came there after the civil crisis to look for better opportunities and decided not to go back. Maybe jobs and education was centralized in Monrovia County and other urban cities. So people came and they found themselves comfortable. Some of these people who were brought to those lands, instantly you will not believe this, their parents died and left those areas with them. That's the only place they know, right? They were so tender in the age, they don't even know where the family had property in any other part of the rural community other than where they find themselves in Monrovia County. So the human face there is that we need to have a government who sit down at the community level, have town hall with people who are in trouble areas. And trouble areas that they may likely be evicted, and have a conversation with them and have a plan to remove them in an appropriate manner that restores their dignity and that gave them a sense of removing vulnerability, right? And that's why I hate that expression when people say development comes with pain. No, I say development comes with planning, right? What is the land authority doing? Are they speaking to the judiciary system? Are they speaking to the courts? Is the court speaking to the land authority? Are they speaking with internal affairs now, Ministry of Rural Development? Well, are they having conversation around
Ministry of Local Government? Ministry of Local Government.
Ministry of Local Government. How can we relocate our people in a decent manner, in an appropriate manner? How put resources into that effort, whether it be low hosting, project where they pay for it over time. You don't say give them to them for free, let them pay for it over time. And let that restructuring happen where people are given some sense of respect and some sense of dignity. I'm not talking about the people who are hard-headed, Anthony. I'm talking about the people, ordinary Liberians who need change, but need the change to them.
But that appears in that there are others who say Liberians are very hard to deal with. And I listened to Senator Darius DeLong, who actually has been participating in this debate. He said, look, we have allies, and most of these people, they knowingly build on these roads. They knew they were doing something illegal, and they did it anyway. And according to the senator, he said, look, if President Bwaka's house is on an alley, break it. How long are we going to take to be dancing around the issue to clear these alleys? Some people argue that the reason why the traffic is too much in Monrovia, because these alleys in these communities that are alternative routes are not open for vehicles to plow. That's what's causing the traffic. So if we don't do it now, when are we ever going to do it? The fact that these people are squatting on in these alleys illegally, they should be removed. That's what they think. And that's the only solution, because if the people don't fear that the government will take action, they will stay there, and then we'll continue to have the problems. What you say to that argument?
Let me say this to the Liberian people, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with you wanting to develop the country, but we should understand that Liberia, it used to be a year or two ago the 8th poorest country in the world. Now it's the 10th poorest country in the world, between 9th to 10th poorest country in the world. Mm-hmm. Liberians are suffering from abject poverty. The Monrovia belt, Monrovia belt, before the war, Anthony, the population in that area was around 500,000. After the war, the population in that area is about 1.5 million people in Monrovia County, right? So it tells you there was a population, it was a migration of a population. What I want the Liberian people to understand here is that it's not that people want to be hard-headed, but when you understand the dynamics of why people drifted towards Monrovia County, when you understand the dynamics as to why they are in the places they are in, then it is no longer a matter of whether they are hard-headed or not hard-headed. It's the matter of poverty, it's the matter of livelihood, it's the matter of the constraint the society placed on them, that they are where they are. So in order to get them from where they are, knowing that majority of those people who migrated to Monrovia County did not do it out of like willfully say, I abandoned my family loafer and I run into Monrovia County. They moved their own purpose. So to address
and that person, who should we hold responsible here? Is it the government that is failing to provide sufficient information where you can squat or where you cannot squat, or the citizen who knowingly decided to squat in these areas, knowing that those areas belong to either the government or those places are either alleys, and maybe the rightful owners of these pieces of land or parcels of land will come to take them from there anyways? Who do we hold responsible here?
I would say, Anthony, for us as Liberians to be the social economic problems we have in the country, it is not primarily about who is responsible. It is more about how we work together to improve the circumstances and the situation in which we find ourselves. Because there are contributing factors that play into the situation where there are multiple level of responsibilities and people throwing down the ball, right? So if there was a severe crisis in the country that caused 1 million people to migrate to the capital city, as we call it, the major capital, the major county in Liberia, Monrovia County, from 500,000 to 1,500,000 people, that tells you that something drove that population there. They did not go there willingly. So when you look at that, when you look at it from that dynamics,
someone might say that is an excuse. The war's been over since 25 years now, and those people are still squatting in those places.
Yeah, I agree with them. People have the right to hold their opinion. But I would push back on such a mindset to say it is easy to say the war is over, but it is not as easy to scientifically see that people got entrenched in those displacements for over 14 years. In addition to the 6 years of Ellen first term that were only centered around rebuilding structures. So they were additionally again displaced and entrenched for another 6 years.
Are you suggesting government should have resettled these people and the government failed? So you're trying to pull the blame on government somehow?
Exactly. So what happens here that we did have what we call a generational shift into poverty, a generational shift into vulnerability. And I can say to clearly, if you want the 14 years of the civil crisis, the between 2 to 3 years stabilization before Ellen took over, plus adding 6 years, another 6 years before everything started coming down, that's almost 30 years. If you put Jowian 6 years, that's 36 years. If you put Joseph Parker 2 years, that 36, that's about 38 years. Give and take 40 years. Some people who are in Monrovia, in places people say they're squatting, they were their eye open. like the only place they know. And they were not taken there by themselves. They were taken there by people who migrated because of the shift in the civil crisis. That's where they know. And they settled it because of their vulnerability. So what I'm saying, we shouldn't look at who to take the blame. What we can do is that, look, meet the communities. Look, tell people, government need to be proactive. Like Mark Jabate is supposed to have been, I think they're removing now, the assistant urban minister, right? For urban planning. Assistant minister for urban planning, right? Mm-hmm. So we got minister for urban planning now is this girl, Fatima.
Minister Fatima for is the planning. Is a deputy minister.
Deputy minister for urban.
Mark Jabate has been assistant minister for urban planning.
Yeah. So these are the people that are supposed to be sitting with people in these communities and telling them, listen, answering there are different categories. Look, listen. Yeah, these are alleyways. We know that we want to see development, and you don't want to see this country stay as it is. Every Liberian wants to see Liberia improve. Anthony, take my word for it, right? But there has to be incentives that would drive people to follow policy direction. So, take for instance, if the incentive would be, listen, we don't want you to be in this alleyway because we got to open the place here in case there's fire behind you. We got the fire truck has to go there. We don't want you to be sitting in the alleyway because we got pipes running here, water pipes or sewage pipe. We want to open these places. Yeah, it's an alternative for you. Yeah, it's an alternative. We already got major land problem in Liberia. Yeah, it's an alternative.
And that alternative comes with a cost. Maybe the government does not have the money, Dr. Pearson.
Somebody can argue that, but I would say, Anthony, like I know I'm a progressive here. I look at the national budget. I see each lawmaker, about 105 of them, getting what, $35,000 for a car every 3 years or 2 years, right?
Every 3 years, 45,000.
Yes, they add to that. Maybe every time they say constituency visit, about another $5,000 or $20,000. It's getting stuck in the pipe. And there are other things that they're spending money on. When they want to spend money on things that they have interest in, they find the money. When they're supposed to spend the money on changing the lives of the people, they don't want to spend the money, right?
So that person. Let me come back to it here. So,
is that having problem with my internet?
Yeah, but you coming in broken.
Yeah, is that.
I wanted to follow up here quickly. Hold on, Dr. Pearson. Let me follow up here quickly. You are suggesting that we have so much time since the war ended to correct this problem, and it has not been corrected because, all our governments have not given it a priority. All right. And now here we are. And you said, when people say development comes with pain, you say development comes with planning. What the plan should have been and what should the plan be now to find a solution, because this is an ongoing problem. If we don't fix it now, it will never get fixed, just as it has not been fixed all these years.
So yeah, solution, right? No, nobody should get me wrong. I'm not in for any free thing. I'm not in for any free thing. In fact, what I believe progressive is that Monrovia and Monrovia is not Liberia alone. For me, when it comes to housing and taking the Liberian people out of poverty, I see Buchanan Highway, right? I see Yomini Kanga Lawrence driving to Buchanan to her $1,000 compound she built in Buchanan there for herself. I see her passing by people still living in Thatch. I see her passing by people still living in Mott. When does she start having a conversation with the people in Buchanan, within her district, in her constituency, whether Maryland, Lofa, Nimba, whatever? When do our leaders? When does the country start to sit solution driven and start to and have a conversation with the Liberian people? How can we transition you from alleyways to a proper home? It's not going to be free. You will pay for it. But we're managing in a way that when you pay for it, you will not feel it. Because we already know the condition you find yourself in. How can we move you from this land here that is the 6 acres of land? This is a Mary land. Mary is coming from America now. She wants to use this land here, right? The court has said that she won the case. She has proven her right to this land. She left from here since Tobo died because she was a Congo woman. When she left from here since Tobo died, she couldn't come back. She passed away. Her daughters and her children decided not to come back home. So they're showing the old Charlie Town deed for the 20 acres of land here. Now you're supposed to move from their land here. People look at you like you crazy. And so I've been here almost 30, 40 years. How can you just come and say the land for you? Government can say, you know what happened, and we know you are the owner of this property, but we want to appeal to you. Let reason prevail. Sit with the government, sit with the people. Government will initiate processes where we can have the people properly relocated to low-cost housing facilities, and then we relinquish the land to you over this period of time. Or maybe there could be an alternative. Can government buy the property from you? Right? And then these people now pay government back, in piece, by little installment. Or better still, government open big farm in different parts of the country because they want to do agriculture. Open big farm and build housing there and say, you know what happened? We know some of you came, just say some of your family came from Lofa, maybe Zozo, maybe Foya, maybe somewhere in Pribo, maybe somewhere in Kawakin, wherever you came, your grandparent came from. We want you to go make farm, but the government already have an agriculture project there, and then they build homes there, and these homes are well built. All you gotta do is just move in it, and we'll give you agriculture job, right? And then you pay small money for the house from your salary. But there has to be incentive, right, to make our development process easy, smooth, and with dignity. How it could be through agriculture, it could be through maybe education. If I'm a teacher in Monrovia, but I have interest in Sano County because I where my people came from, but it's difficult for me to relocate because I don't have the means. Government have built property there and say, you know what, this school year, the property we finish building one government school year, we build housing projects around it. If you move from Monrovia in the other way and go back to your hometown in Kawakin, you can take one of the apartments while you're working for the education ministry, you pay on the house just small from your salary. After you finish paying for the house for you. You know, there has to be some level of innovation, thinking outside of the box and giving incentive for people to go back to the villages in time because they must go back to something. They must go back to something. Development must come with planning, not pain only.
Well, you heard that. That's the voice of Dr. Clarence R. Pearson. He said development comes with planning or must go with planning, and development does not or should not come with pain. When you want to develop a place, you must have a plan. If there are people involved, the people should be part of the plan. And you should not cause pain. If you are trying to solve a problem, because development is intended to solve problems, to ease conditions, to better conditions. And some people believe you want better conditions, there will be pain. Clarence is saying no. That we don't have to have pains, or people don't have to go through pains. When we plan better, we can execute better. And I think he also saying, look, we have had so much time since the war ended. We have had successful governments. The same way they've been allotting $45,000 every 3 months for the lawmakers. If they were doing similar to 3 years, thank you, every 3 years for lawmakers, if they were setting money aside in the budget to be building low-income homes for our citizens, then people in the alley could be moved there. People who are squatting on other people's lands could be moved there. And then the government now would be able to remove these, clear this alley, and there will not be so much pain. And that Pearson, there are many people who are criticizing the government. So this is a serious debate. I read a piece from Isaac Jackson and Reverend Cotto Brown also criticized the government, that if the government is not careful with the way they are doing it, the human suffering and hurt and pain is causing, it will affect President Bouakar's legacy. So definitely the government has every right to clear these alleys because these are roads or places set aside for commute. And if a citizen decides to build that, that person is in violation of city ordinance. They must be removed. And but there's a better way to do it, and I think that is your argument. If you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. My name is Anson here hosting. I have with me our new progressive commentator, Dr. Clarence R. Pearson. We are discussing the very painful effort that is being carried on by the government of Liberia, clearing alleys where people have built businesses, have built, they're clearing everything. They want to clear the roads, they want to pave the road, they want the roads to be clear so that the congestion in Monrovia can be reduced, so that traffic can be able to flow. It is not easy. Many are crying. People have been rendered homeless. Some of them slept in the streets for days. The only places they have to lay their heads have been demolished by their government. And there's a lot of pains and tears going on right now. And that is the debate. Well, that said, we will go to our next topic here on the menu that Clarence Pearson, that would be the citizenship clause debate. So we move now to what may be the most emotionally charged political and constitutional debate in Liberia today, the citizenship clause. The question of who qualifies for Liberian citizenship, who can own land, and who has fulfilled political rights under the Liberian Constitution has ignited fierce debate in communities, in the legislature, and in the diaspora. And President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is the one who has resurrected this debate, by the way. She was invited by the House of Representatives, and he said, look, this clause, this Negro clause, that in order to become a citizen of Liberia, you must be a person of Black heritage or African heritage, you must be Black. She said, that thing is archaic, we should remove it. She had her time to do so, she did not do it, but, maybe better late than never, right? So it has sparked a debate. There are some people that believe that, no, it should stay there. Only Black people should be citizens of Liberia. I don't know, Dr. Pearson, where you stand, but here is my question to get the conversation started on this debate. Article 27B of Liberia's constitution limits citizenship to people of Negro descent. In 2026, is this clause still a legitimate and necessary protection of Liberians' sovereignty, or is it a relic of the past that now does more harm than good? Your take.
Anthony, first of all, it is safe when people have any kind of conversation. It is important to understand the historicity of the discussion. So before I lay the historicity of the conversation, let us clarify a few things here, right? For me, there are three debates out there. There are three debates out there. One, there are some who believe that citizenship clause, which is Article 27B, they believe it is racist, and racism comes when you try to show a divide between colors and treat people by the color of their skin. The second argument out there is that because Liberia has closed up its citizenship to only Black-skinned people, that's why Liberia has not developed over all of these years. It is inhibiting Liberia's development. That's another school of thought. Meaning, if you have white-skinned people who are rich and get money and become citizens, then they will put their money in the country to develop it. And besides that, if you have white-skinned people in Liberia who already got businesses there, if they are citizens, given a chance to be citizens, then they will not take their money outside of Liberia. Then the third argument that they want some of us, we are saying, no, there is nothing wrong with that clause. And I will tell you why I believe that. So now let's look at the historicity. Instead of looking at the issue of racism as a problem for that clause, we should understand, first of all, what influenced that clause, the 27B. The 27B is influenced by 27A. Because don't forget, Anthony, when you are establishing a country or you want to declare sovereignty, one of the requirements for sovereignty is that you must have a land space, a geographical location that you have sovereignty over. You should have people that are encompassing that geographical space. If you have people, you have the land, right? You have the people, you must have a government. Those three things are necessity to declare yourself a sovereign state. Now, the people who came to Liberia to help us to declare us a sovereign state met issues on the ground for which they declared Liberia independent. And you know the history, Anthony. There were encroachment on Liberian territory from Guinea, from Ivory Coast, and from Sierra Leone. including the British and the French.
Yeah.
Those were colonial powers that were all white skinned. And those colonial powers did not choose between whether your black skin will matter to them. For you, you were nothing of any value to them. You are just good enough to be sold as slaves. You are not good enough to own a land. So when the Queen was taking over land, when the French were taking over land, they were not considering black skin to be significant. The people who had migrated to Liberia at the time, the American Liberians, who understood what it means to be placed in that kind of a degrading state of mind, in a degrading situation, understood clearly that land is an important factor to statehood. Now, that's one aspect there. The second aspect here is to look at places like South Africa and other places, right, where colonial power had control. The lands were taken from the indigenous people, and the land was dominantly owned by the minority colonizer. South Africa is one classic example. Zimbabwe is another classic example that I want to use here for reference. So I hear people saying, it's racism. No. It's protectionism. That was the concept of the Constitution. Protectionism, not racism, not development. Protectionism. Protecting the land from whom? Protecting the land from a superior race that believed at the time that your black skin did not qualify you to be land owners.
A clean superior race.
Right, imperialist mindset. So let's put it this way, Anthony. So Article 27A says, only Liberians can own land. Read it, you see what I'm talking about. Anybody who listens to the argument, go read Article 27A. Only Liberians can own land, right? And the citizenship for Liberians say you should either be born in Liberia or your parents to whom you are born are born in Liberians, right? 27B comes now to say that if you have to be a Liberian to own land, then to protect the land now, you cannot be white skin and be a Liberian. Because if you stop the white skin from being a Liberian, you are protecting you are avoiding what happened in South Africa. You are avoiding what happened in Zimbabwe and other places. Now, having said that, Anthony, for public good, let me say this. Today as we speak, land is a conflict element in any society in the world. Land. In South Africa as we speak, the South Africans are still struggling to get back lands from the minority who are they call it Africans, right? The light-skinned guys in South Africa. They own the majority of the land. They own the best lands in the federal land. Today, South Africa has to put in policies to regulate that they cannot dominate the lands. But
and so, Dr. Piercy, given the history you gave, quite accurately, someone would say, well, that was then. And you use the word, that was protectionism. They wanted to protect, all right, the sovereignty of the place then called Liberia and stay called Liberia, all right, because they have just established statehood at the time, and they were doing that to protect the colonial powers from taking this land from them. They wanted 100% control of the land, something that they could own and then manage for their own safety, right? So that was then. But now, do you think their land needs to be protected from quote unquote the imperialists now?
Let me say this to you, Anthony. Liberia has one of the most fertile land in the world, in Africa. Liberia is the host to one of the most beautiful tropical region in the world. Liberia have beautiful beaches. Liberia have beautiful islands. When I used to work with EAD Hustler once upon a time, we used to fly to go to Sando, Marion, and other places to do work for the hospital. We used to use the unmanned chopper. Anthony, when you fly in the unmanned chopper, you see the beauty of Liberia. Let me say this. When you have such a beautiful landscape that already sits in the hands of people who don't even respect their own laws, and the vulnerability of our people in our own lands with the level of corruption and bad governance. It is a risk to open up the country to people who have greater means than the dark-skinned Liberians themselves, or dark-skinned people. And I'll tell you why. If you want Marshall, those Lebanese guys, they get some of the most beautiful waterfronts you can think about, right? When it comes where they pack their posts and stuff like that. Imagine they don't own.
So now you are going to the economic argument.
Yeah. So let me see if I can bring it down a little bit more. Maybe I'll be talking over some people here. Let me bring it down more. Let me put it this way: Firestone, gave us back our land that they've been renting for I don't know how many 25 cents kind of cent per acre.
Someone must say that is a concession. They're not going to take the land. They're not going to take the land. Where else?
They're not going to take the land, but it's the same argument. They possess the land. In other words, you must say here now, instead of Firestone leasing our land now, Firestone will probably own the land because somebody with the means bought that number of land. You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying to you that we've not come in the 21st century. But let me say this to any Liberian people listening: Liberia is not the only place with protectionist mindset when it comes to citizenship. Asia has to protect the citizenship. Not only Asia alone, Japan has to protect the citizenship. China has to protect the citizenship. Singapore has to protect the citizenship. Thailand has to protect the citizenship. Malaysia has to protect the citizenship. Colombia has to protect the citizenship. Taiwan has to protect the citizenship. All of these places are well-developed nations. They still protect the citizenship. There's nothing wrong with being protective. But you need to know the circumstances and that you find yourself in and how to protect yourself for the best interest of your people. Let me close by saying, so I don't do the talking alone. Anthony, today as we speak, Israel is still fighting for land. True or false?
That is true.
Today, as you myself speak, this week, Guinea was still trying to put flare down in Liberia. True or false?
That is true.
Land is a precious community to any nation. No politician can tell me say Liberia is racist because we don't give white people citizenship. There are more countries in the world that don't open citizenship to everybody. Again, nobody tell me say no development came to Liberia because we get West-skinned citizens. That's a lie. Big lie. Our country is underdeveloped because of bad governance, corruption, disrespect for the rule of law, and not planning properly to move the country from one level of progression to another level of progression from a developmental standpoint. We are hurting ourselves. The Lebanese man will not keep his money in Liberia because we say we're getting citizenship. He will take care of Lebanon if Lebanon is safe to carry there. The Indian man will take care of money in India, even if he's citizen. The British man will take care of money in British, even if he's citizen. The Taiwanese will take care of the money to Taiwan if they're citizen. There is no economic argument that can be made to me about money leaving Liberia. The only thing anybody can tell me, and that I would see reason to, small sense there, or maybe because the man is citizen, it gave him more protection over his investment in Liberia. I agree. But that investment would divest. That investment would divest our local people who do not have the
even the point you're conceding to, right?
Yeah.
I don't think ownership of right to one's property is conditioned on their nationality. For example, if someone is a permanent resident here in the United States, if they work hard to own a house, they're not going to say because you're not a U.S. citizen, say so you are not entitled to that property. All right. And another point you said is that even if we were to give people of non-Negro descent citizenship, the fact that they have migrated to Liberia and settled there either for business, whatever the reason is, all right, they will still move resources back to their original country. We here in America, we are example.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us have U.S. citizenship, but are we not sending money every day? We are sending money every day. right? So I'm saying this to say that, I don't see how denying or not opening, let me use it right, not opening the citizenship to people of non-Negro descent protects anything. I don't see it. So you tell me, because make me to see it. I'm not seeing
Okay,
it.
let me Labrador need to be very careful with it because the argument we are making, these arguments are valid based on data. So a few years ago, my work relocated me to Arizona. So I went to Arizona. I took a gated community. So I took a gated community for my own protection because I'm skeptical of the Southerners. So I took a gated community, right? My one-room apartment was costing me close to $2,000. I think I was paying like $1,700 for one-room apartment in the gated community.
Wow.
So at some point in time, that was considered cheap. When I first moved in, it was considered cheap. Then in Los Angeles, in California, in Los Angeles, rent started going up. You remember when they started talking about there were a lot of homeless people in Los Angeles? It became a major problem in the United States here. So because of the housing problem in Los Angeles and the high cost of housing, people started to move down to Arizona from Los Angeles. My rent in less than 2 years, my rent moved from $1,700 to $2,300. Why do you think my rent moved to $2,300, Anthony? Because of migration shift. And when the migration shifted, the people who were coming down to Arizona had more money than some also who are going there and were sitting there, right? So when the guys who got money move from Los Angeles and come down to Arizona, they are willing to pay for the apartment. I was paying for $1,700 and change. They're willing to pay for that same one apartment in a gated community for $2,000 and change. So why do you think the landlord did to my rent? Landlord carried my rent up.
Or you move.
Right. So in Liberia right now, when before Liberia opened to those of us who came to the diaspora, we're not buying land in Liberia. We used to buy land in Liberia around $400 and $300. In fact, it started around $200. When you get $250, you can buy one lot of land, one lot. If you have $100, maybe $150, $175, you could buy half lot. By the time Liberians, those of us who came abroad, by the time diaspora Liberians started running back home, Anthony, land now, one lot is more than $2,000 in some places. Agree with me?
I agree.
Use that same logic. Use that same logic for people migrating to Liberia because they have the wealth to do so. Imagine them buying ocean views. Imagine them buying river lines.
But then that will create job opportunity because investment
at the detriment of whom? That's a major question. At the detriment of whom?
Well,
that's the bottom line. At the detriment of whom?
Most of our citizens, the residents, right? They don't have jobs. They're looking. The major issue in Liberia right now, as we speak, especially for young people, the job. So if a person of non-Negro descent has enough money and went to Liberia to settle or become a citizen, and let's say the person buy, an ocean view, and then develop it to a 5-star hotel, that's employment for my brother in Nikrutan. Now he has a job, right? Don't you see that as a good thing for the country? And now
it's a good
he, with that job, can buy a land maybe in Caldwell and buy a house. Something that he will not be able to do in the next 100 years if that other person with money had not gone to Liberia to create employment opportunity.
So let me bring this back to you, Anthony. When I took my transfer back to New Jersey from Arizona, I did not come back to New Jersey because I was broke. You get what I'm saying? I came back to New Jersey. In fact, I was doing a corporate job, right? My office was high rise. I was laying back in what I call living room chair with my laptop on my thigh, doing my work. When I get pool in my office, in the office area, we get pool. We get free coffee, free lunch, free everything. So I was in pool. Technically speaking, that I couldn't live there. But what I'm saying here is that when the disparity between the have and the have-nots is huge, the sidestep those who are not at their level. Liberia is too poor to open up citizenship to white-skinned people who have the means to put Liberians at the risk of their own land. That's all I'm saying.
And what danger will that create? What is the danger that you see in it for which you are concerned about that?
Let me give you a few. Right? All of the marvelous hotels that we have. So I want to make the argument again. You don't have to be citizen in Liberia to build a hotel. RLJ is an example. Right? You don't have to be a citizen to build a hotel. You don't. Mama Point Hotel is an example. Golden, I know say maybe I'm adding get some money, but Golden Key Hotel, then those are example. Some of the major hotels in Liberia, right? Example. You don't have to be a Liberian in order to build mighty buildings or hotels in Liberia. So that's not an argument for me. If you want to invest in Liberia, if the environment is conducive, you can invest in Liberia without being a citizen. So that argument is mute. What I'm trying to drive at here is that when I'm talking about hotels now, Anthony, of all the major big hotels that occupy spaces in Liberia, how many common men can afford to sleep in the hotels? None of them can afford to sleep in the hotels.
Maybe not today, but tomorrow that common man might get a job and might sleep there.
So yeah, if you have Liberian millionaires, multiple Liberian, if the ordinary Liberians no longer are sleeping, you know what? Now we say Basa men sold the land for small fee. Can me speak my Liberian tongue? You know what I say? Basa men sold their land for small fee.
and that appears. I like the example you're giving, right? That you don't have to be a Liberian to build a 5-star hotel and run it as your property and as a business. And he went further by saying, well, how many Liberians will afford it? But here's the thing. There are investors and other people that can come to Liberia, right? And when they come to Liberia, we're talking about tourism. We're talking about the hospitality industry. It's a huge money-making industry. Because these are businesses that create jobs opportunity. Also, that help to increase government revenue generation. People coming to Liberia, they're spending money, and the government is getting money. The person is buying plane ticket because they know that when they get to Liberia, there's a decent hotel there where they can stop and enjoy comfort. All right. So even though the person might be a foreign national that builds it, as a result of that, the government collects money in taxes. As a result of that, a Liberian citizen is hired. That person is not taking anything away from Liberia. So for me, I don't see how we are protecting anything by not giving citizenship or opening citizenship to people who are of non-Negro descent.
So when you say we're not losing anything, that would not be a fair statement, because if you sell a land to someone, you own it for life. Yeah. Right? It's not something you can say as it's not like South Africa. The guys came and took the poor land and monopolized the entire land, and the black people were strangers in their own land. So they're trying to redistribute that land. Even men like Donald Trump in America put him up on the South African president Ramaphosa and said that they are trying to dispossess the light-skinned South Africans. So they calling all kinds of names. They even want to put tariff on them, sanction on them. It's easy to give it away. It is not easy to take it back. We should remember that. So if somebody went down to Cape Mount, went somewhere to Lofa, went somewhere to Foya, went somewhere to Sando, and they buy a huge amount of land and invest in it, that's fine. But when the ordinary people who are poor, when they stay in front of a Lebanese man that got a pocket full, or another white man, Indian man, or an American white man, and a pocket full, to that poor Liberian man, if he's selling 1 acre for $10,000, he has plenty of money. We got people in Liberia today, and I'm saying this for a fact, Anthony. We got people in Liberia who lease, not sell, just lease their property to Lebanese people. Some of them lease it for 25 years, some of them for 50 years, some of them for 75 years, and don't lease on chicken change. You know why it's chicken change? Because the people too poor. They will settle down for anything. Today, those guys are multi-millionaires on those poor people back. Somebody can't even pay their own children's school fee today because they ate the money and the money finished long time. Somebody still owning that property for 75 years. This is why I was saying I would take a break on this list. Anthony, people don't have to be citizens in Liberia before they can invest in Liberia. I will keep saying it. Look at Jetty. Look at Jetty. Jetty is one of the most progressive investors in Liberia. He does not have citizenship, but he has a lot of investment in Liberia. Look at Seti Brothers. They don't have citizenship, but they have a lot of investments in Liberia. Right? So I don't see why we think somebody got to be less keen and then they will improve our country and develop it.
And Dr. Pearson, that is the question. That is the question I'm asking, because not opening this citizenship to just about anyone who wants to become citizen of Liberia, it's not protecting anything, because the example you gave me about Jetty. Jetty controls a lot of politicians in Liberia. Once you have money, money is the real power. It doesn't matter whether you are a foreigner. All right? You can tell a policeman what to do and they'll do it. Some people who have money, who are foreign nationals in Liberia, they tell judges in court what to do and they do so. So I think this not opening the citizenship to other people is not solving any problem. It's not protecting anything. But
Anthony, can I come
yeah,
in?
let me welcome Joe Tao. Joe, welcome, and it's great that you join the discussion and the debate. Evan Morris here is saying, Anthony, I'm disappointed in you. I'm the moderator. I'm asking questions. I have to ask questions from the opposite side. I have to push the person who is discussing. People come to the discussion, they should understand how the conversations are held. I am the host. I have to ask questions from the opposite direction so we can get two sides of the discussion. That's what I'm doing. You don't know my position here. A very smart guy, Evan Murray, to say he's disappointed in me for advocating for the many people. Well, but let me read John comment here, then I come to you, Mr. Tao. John says I should read his comment here. John writes, we cannot open citizenship to everyone now. To do so, we must first build the capacity of our people and then empower them financially. In this way, they will be able to compete. But if this is not done, you leave our people vulnerable and desperately poor. I don't disagree with empowering our people. We need to do so. I don't disagree with that. But let me bring in Tao. Tao, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I've been listening to the show when I was driving home. And because I really want to be part of it, because this is what's going to decide if Liberians own a country or not in the near future.
Welcome,
you are asking, hey, how you doing, my brother? How you doing, Doc? Because look at what happened, Anthony. You are asking some questions, and you said that how come it's going to create this? We have to distinguish something,
right?
Political power and economic power. The Lebanese and the Indians, because of how Liberia was structured, where the so-called American Liberians wanted to relegate the indigenous to the background, they created, if you look at Liberia history, they created the Lebanese as this buffer that was their front men to trade for them. This is how this became really entrenched in Liberia. So since then, every other government have functioned that way. They say Liberianization, they left Liberians back. These guys, this group of foreigners control about 99% of the economic space, the whole economic power. Do you know what actually stopping them from completely taking over the country? Forget about the fact that they buy land and do this. They do not have political power. They can go ahead and bribe some politicians here and then tell judges what to do. But our political power is not legitimate. It has not been legitimized. What this citizenship is going to do is going to legitimize that. They can go ahead and buy some land and bribe everybody. If they cannot be citizens, what it does is that they are going to be very cautious, because at some point, things can change and a government that is ready to do something can come and start to enforce. But if you already hand them, you cannot let a people with such political power also hold, economic power also hold political power. They control the two. That is the struggle that South Africans have. The people with the most economic power also have political power. So
the question I asked, how did these people get their economic power? I know they have.
I just explained it to you. You
think that's the only way? I don't think that is the answer. The answer,
Understanding that is what built the foundation of it.
Okay.
Okay. Remember, now it's still going on now. The Lebanese man walk into the bank and he has access to loan. The Liberian walking and so that they don't have it, will complain, but we don't know where it was established. It was from the Congo people because they were fronting for the Congo people. They brought them in and they positioned them. So if Jim A.A.P.S. call and say, Hadar coming in, that's his front man. Let him, we need $1 million. They're the one running the factory. They're the one running the fishery. It was given, and that trend have been in place. This is how they got established. They didn't get established because somehow they were so.
And Tao, you are saying we share the responsibility here for not having the economic power, and the fact that we lost the economic power war. We should not give them citizenship because if we do, they will also get the political power and we will be irrelevant in the country.
Let me dissect this and put it together. So what I just explained, for Liberia to open up citizenship to whites and Indians and all the Lebanese and the Chinese and these people that are in our country, we must first create a system, create a buffer. Remember, we are here in the U.S. People will say, "Oh,
in other words, you are in favor of it, but you want certain conditions should be."
But I'm coming to it. The U.S. didn't just wake up and start giving citizenship, and people started buying land. Remember, all the land in America or in Europe, anywhere, is already owned by the white family structure through the banking families and the states that already own this country. When you own land in America, you actually just lease it. And I gave an example on Sunday, which we all know. There was about 7 or 8 acres that we found like about a couple of years ago. It's on the Gulf, it's a waterfront. And me and my partner, we look at it and we say, you know what, we learned some stuff that will be coming later on. So we went in, we look at it, we're going to be too expensive going to the bank because of what they were selling it. So we said we are going to be our own bank. So we went in and bought it cash. But because it's an empty land, it was valued at 50 grand, right? A year later, something happened to where just about a couple of miles up the street, some development supposed to be taking place. They jacked up the value of the land from 50,000 to almost $500,000. We started to go in, we started fighting with them. And we had to go to court, all kinds of stuff. They jacked it back up to 1.5 million the following year. Why do you think they were doing that? They were forcing her out. We said there is no way we're going to pay $250,000 for no empty land. Then they brought this condition that for you to even get the land ready for you to do anything on there, you have to elevate it to like about 15 feet above sea level. All kinds of stuff. When we look at what it was going to be, it would be like around almost $500,000. So that would even be more than what we actually bought the land. Then they jacked it up to 3.5 million. All this stuff happened within about 2 to 3 years. What did they do there? They forced us out. Because what they did, they went to the archive, they saw whose name was on the land. That's all they had to do. And there was a lawyer that actually had a house that lived there and we became his friend and we talked to him. He had a house on there and even his own was not valued at that much. What did they do? They forced her out. We almost sold at a loss. And who bought it? It was them. The point I'm making here is that so we should not confuse us coming here owning some land, which is actually leased versus what is happening in Liberia. They already put systems in place for them to make sure that you are regulated and you are restricted out of things and you are actually limited. And if you can see, as whites continue to see that things are changing and they're losing power globally and the system is coming to an end, you see everywhere, not just in the US, you see now the anti-immigration. So they then just do it just because, no, they did it when they were actually in control, but because they're not going to displace themselves. So the point I'm making here is that we have not even put systems in place We don't have the laws and the infrastructure to regulate.
And my simple question was,
protect us.
if and when these systems are put into place, will you be for opening up citizenship to people
Yeah,
of
if it is
non-Igbo
put into
descent?
place and we have a functioning structure to where Liberians are not capable and they're actually brought into the economic fold and we are leading and we are involved, yes, then it's something that can be looked at. But look at what happened here. For me, this is what I would say. This discussion here is for us to waste time. We have very important things in Liberia for the benefit of Liberia that we should actually be focusing on at the legislature and everything else. Rather
And
than
we will get
say,
and,
okay,
and we'll get to that.
no,
and we'll
no,
get
I'm
to
not
that.
just saying us here. I'm talking about even in Liberia, where this is what the legislature is going to be focused on when the economy is not working, when we have to be looking at how do we add value to our resources or our raw material, how do we create more electricity, so that these are the things that, but look, this is something that come not even in our lifetime. We should not make that mistake. Look at the record everywhere that non-whites in Africa, non-black, non-Negroes or blacks were giving this stuff, and they were not prepared. And they did not have the system in place, and that people were not strong enough to compete and to actually lead. There is problem. Just like that, just like the doctor said, this is not like you give it to the person, you say, after 1 month, I'll take it back. It's for life. I have friends that are in Liberia. The guy's a farmer. He called me and we talked. He said, Joe, when you come back here, he said they're buying up this country.
Thank you.
He said, within the next 5 years, you come back here, you barely might not even find land. And so let me land. But because they wanted to do this, that is why that land authority that was established, I've been criticizing them for the last almost 10 years. Because what they did here was they forced the traditional, our ancestral land, that if the land is not registered for it to have document, then the land will belong to the government. That is a fear factor they created. So then, by the people having deed, with the deed in hand, the land will be sold faster. Thabo Mbeki rejected this about almost 20 years ago, and the U.S. was angry at him. He said, our people have always managed that land, and the way in which they manage that land will leave it like that. We're not going to give them deed. We're not going to give them anything, because giving them that open the land up for sale, and they will lose everywhere where they ever live. And let us follow the same thing.
Thank you. And Dr. Pearson, is there any economic and developmental benefits to the advantage of any country, but here, Liberia in particular, if citizenship is open to all races in Liberia? Let's use the U.S. as a case study, right? The U.S. has open citizenship to all people here, even though there are some restrictions. Like, for example, I was born in Liberia. If I become a U.S. citizen, I cannot run for president. That is the only restriction. But I can work for any job I'm qualified for. I can run for any elected office. And we see that immigration in America is a huge economic boost, and it is the backbone of the U.S. economy. For example, let's look at the Steve Jobs that made the Apple. My understanding is that his parent came from Iran, the very Iran America is bombing today. That's where his parent came from, and they born him here. Apparently, if the U.S. are not open immigration and citizenships and these rights to foreign nationals, maybe iPhone was going to be made in Iran, just as Samsung is made in Korea. I think in South Korea, right? And I think iPhone is one of the $1 trillion company in the world today. Its market capital is around 1 trillion plus. And the person who invented that, it came from Iran. And now, because the U.S. allow citizenship from other nationals to be here, it is a U.S. company. My question is simple. Opening citizenship to people of non-Negro descent, don't you think it will boost Liberia economy instead of any economic, importance to Liberia at all? You are muted.
Yeah. Again, what you said is, Anthony, it's not the matter of what it can do in terms of economic benefit to the country. It's more about what it would do to the current impoverished people of the country. That's the argument, you know. So people just want to say, you know, it's just about bringing development to Liberia. It's just not about bringing development to Liberia. It's about divesting the ordinary dark-skinned Liberians themselves. That the first thing, like the Tower said. First of all, Liberians are very impoverished. The handful of people who got money there are enslaving the one who got money to begin with. We can see how we got to carry back the rest of them to make them vote for them. You can see that. You can see how they're exploiting them to get them jobs. They got to sleep with them before they get a job, whether a government job or private job. You see how they take people children to come stay with them and then end up sleeping with them. The people are poor. Anthony. So the idea is not that when I'm a white man and I'm citizen in Liberia, I cannot invest. In fact, they call it land grabbing. I will come there because I know I'm going to get something out of it. It is not meaning because of what I'm going to give to it. No businessman do business because he just want to give money to somebody free. He wants to get gains. He wants to get profit. The essence of business is profit. And you need to think about that. So in as much as there will be economic boost in Liberia, the question is who profit most will be the concern. It will not be the ordinary people. It will not be the ordinary people. In fact, the disparity will be wider than we see between the politicians and the ordinary Liberians right now. Somebody comparing also, let me just leave other countries, just Ghana. Somebody comparing us to Ghana. Look, we do not even have 20% of the level of patriotism that Ghanaians have when it comes to their own people. We don't have it. In Ghana right now, for you to own gold man or to own diamond man in Ghana, you must have a Ghanaian share in that business. In Ghana. In fact, in Ghana right now, you can't take the gold out of the country without Ghana having a certificate to that gold, ownership to that gold in the reserve. What can you do? You can do that in Liberia. Right now in Liberia, anybody who own land in Bapolu there, and they go find Diamond Creek there, or they find gold in the creek, they go in the diamond, they start mining the street. No proper regulation. You know what we're talking about there? Ghana. No, it doesn't happen there. In fact, the Ghana men believe we are the best in the whole wide world. And if anything good should happen here, it should happen with Ghanaian first. So they have a different disposition compared to us. The abhorrence the same. Anthony, our brothers and sisters who went to Africa when the war was raging, there are certain things you can't do the minute say you're not abhorrent. Right? So Ghana, the same way, Liberian suffer, I will put it the right way, Liberian can't hell in Ghana. That was when they were kicked out. In fact, they told us we couldn't even stay there because the war over, go home. They broke our they put us stay in the homes, in the places that they finished based when they get children with Ghanaians. They got babies, children with Ghanaians. So when they 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, they kicked them out of the place. They broke the whole house down. And they went and camped in Kakata there. Around the resettlement stuff they built down there. LRRC around BWI. So what are we talking here? Lands are cardinal to any nation, and we need to protect its citizenship in our constitution. Is tied to land ownership, and that was the protection our people provided with the wisdom of the framers of the constitution. It's not a 27B standing alone. It is a 27B intended to protect 27A, and 27A must be protected.
Thank you. I said earlier that Steve Jobs' father, parents came from Iran. It's not actually Iran. Evans Murray corrected me. That is Syria, not Iran. I was wrong to say Iran. His father actually came from Syria and not Iran. Evans, thanks for the correction. Brother Tao, I come back to you so we can close on there and go to the other topic here. President Bouaka and the Unity Party, now they are in the third year. This is like second half. So we're going to do a little bit of assessment if they're going to move the needle in terms of development and reforms and improving the human and material conditions of our people, between now and 2029. And there where I will take off my moderator hat and I will come in to give my own perspective. But let us close on the citizen debate. This is a serious debate.
Yeah.
And all of the expose you both are giving, they make a lot of sense. And so I want to get your closing on this citizenship debate. There are some Liberians who hold strongly that, look, we should not open citizenship to people who are not of Negro descent. Some people even argue, look, the thing is even open, except that you have to be black. And they are saying, well, so why if they fear that if we open it up to, let's say, white people and other people who have money, we will get dispossessed economically and even politically, as you said, because that's the part I agree with, that if we open it, the fact that people have money will be dispossessed politically, and then it will take over the country. I'm in agreement with that. But on the economic side, how do we protect that? Because they are in a much better standing economic, so they have so much power in Liberia than us. How can we do that?
So look at what happened here. Before I come to that, I will point out the example you gave about Steve Jobs, right? Remember, we when we're talking about land ownership, we try. You cannot look at the West. The West, and let's just say look at America. Remember, the United States is a bunch of immigrants that came into this country. It's not their land. They came in, they took over it. So in order for them to try to populate the area, they opened that up. So, but before they did that, Anthony, we keep saying it, they already had a whole structure in place where all the land belonged to the state. The land belonged to the state. The way they layer things. I've owned land and owned properties and done a bunch of stuff. Yeah, you don't own anything in this country. It go back to the state or to the city or to whether it is the bank, but that bank is based. So just like that. So Steve Jobs coming in and his dad coming in and they open it, that is not even it. Look, nobody is stopping these guys from doing business. We were talking here last time, somebody wanted to talk about racism and apartheid. And I said, are you saying that the Lebanese people, we are putting them in concentration camps in Liberia, or the non-blacks? Are you saying that we're restricting them, that they can't live in certain areas? Because we have to be very careful. Because we think we want to support something, we go ahead, we just say stuff that's an apartheid stuff, like Ellen Johnson said. The old lady is old. She screwed up the country over the last 50 years. Let her go sit down somewhere. That is what we can tell her. But look at what happened here. What we need to do, open this stuff should go away. The goal of this government and any other government and every one of us should be for us to work and build a country and an economy that empower Liberians, that train and put us in position, put institutions in place and processes in place that continue to empower and raise people up to where we are strong enough for us to actually decide and be truly. It's not about we are coming in and saying, or Ellen coming in, that Lebanon would not be spectators. They all make that statement, and there is nothing to it. And they also using the same Lebanese Indian people as front. Let me tell you something. The Lebanese man and the Indian man in Liberia don't have any power in terms of to say the economic stuff that the whole. The whole is within the state of Liberia. So let us not create this illusion. It is because you have stupid, corrupt, and incompetent government and officials. Okay? They are not richer than the state. If the state really want to invest and develop its people, they put together a program. Here it is Traore. Just put together put forth a $65 billion 5 years plan. What the 5-year plan, you look at it, human development, building capacity. So if Liberia had that, where the senator and representative are not going to be the one that jump behind it and also own the companies, own everything, but they really developing the people. Within 5 years, you can raise up a lot of people. Why is the Lebanese man importing rice? You invest in agriculture, you wipe that out. The Fulani man over there want to open a defense force. You came just as a stranger because you don't have a set country. You came in, you are African like us. You are accepted, nobody's bothering you. Immediately, you want to do your jihad study. You want to have your own security force. All those stuff that they're doing because they're importing rice and cement. All those stuff can be pretty much diminished over time if you have a very serious government that is investing in the people in the right areas, and the Liberians can rise. What are they importing over the tiles? You have the quarries and stuff over there. You can start producing tiles. You can start it from state run. Liberians then can invest in it, and over time, the government can back off and they take over it, importing tiles without natural death. So by the time rice and tile and cement go away, you have iron ore, you produce steel. What is the Indian and Lebanese going to be producing that is actually going to make them to be the most powerful? Nothing. So the whole thing is because you have a very bad government, and the guys don't even know the left from the right. So whatever they have, it can be relegated very quickly, and they actually lose that economic power that they have and empower the Liberians. Once the Liberians are in charge and they are now running things and patriotic and everything else, yes, then maybe you.
And Tao, I want to bring the religious angle to this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Liberia is a highly religious society, and I'm not sure you are that religious person. You are me. I am adherent to African spiritualities. This whole thing about Comrade Jesus and Comrade God, my friend Pearson then, can sign the cross and do that thing and worship their man Comrade Jesus, right? I don't subscribe to that. My point is, so Liberians believe that there is God Almighty, and he had his son that he sent here who happened to be white to deliver us. And in their homes, his picture is there. And he's white. And they pray to him for salvation, to even deliver them from poverty. They are praying. Liberians are praying. And they celebrate. So when they see that image and they see a white person, they welcome that person. In fact, there are a lot of Liberians who feel that it is the white man who will save them. We are going to the white man Americans to get money. We are going to the Asian, maybe the Chinese people to give us money to do all that because they are looking white. So now it comes to citizenship. Are you saying that Liberians, when it comes to land, that's the time they don't want to be the friend of the white man? Because most Liberians want to be the friend of the American people, the white man. They want to be, and that one aspect. That's one aspect. The other aspect to my question is that, okay, you say this citizenship thing will keep it to people who are black, because when we open it, somebody who is white, somebody who is Lebanese and Chinese may come, they may have money, they may dispose us up politically. Are you sure that because the Nigerians have money? I see some Liberians having problem with even Guineans. They even discriminate their own Mandingo brothers who are then from somewhere Africa. They say they not belong here. But these people have right to Liberian citizenship too. So if the fear is that the other people have money and they will bring money and it will dispossess us when we give them citizenship politically and economically, why if the Nigerians come to do it, you will your laws allow that, right? That it's okay for a Nigerian person to come who has money, get citizenship, dispossess you politically and economically, and have the control in your country. It's okay. Some people are saying this is why they say this is racism.
Okay, so
because you say it's okay for a Nigerian to do that, but it's not okay for a white person to do that.
This why Liberia is not the only place, even in the USA, is encoded. You know that when you are black, you're really not an American. Even the Africans that were brought here. That is why when you saw the immigration stuff going on, did you see them stop a white person to say you're an American? So we shouldn't fool ourselves. Okay, we shouldn't fool ourselves. Forget about, because Trump speak. Whatever one of them actually think and do.
I disagree. I know a lot of Liberians who are American citizens. They are voting. They are working federal job.
No,
they're American citizens.
No. Listen now, we should not mix naturalization or citizenship with ethnicity. A non-white can never be American. To be American is to be white. So
that is coded, right? That is not in the laws, right? You're not talking legality yet.
It's in the law. because it's encoded in every aspect of the society that non-whites are restricted in every way. We live here.
Well, I think you are talking discrimination. You're not talking legality.
But that is how it forms. So look at what happened. Let me just answer your question. It's sad, and that is one thing that we'll have to correct. Everywhere in this world, everybody, God look like them. It is only the African who have a God that have gods that don't look like them. And it's sad. Because if you are made in the image of your God, then your God must look like you. And these are some of the stuff that we have to correct. Because when the Europeans came together in 325 in Nice at the Nation Conference, and when we were drafting this stuff that are pretty much a lot borrowed from Africa in order of basic elements, and then Michelangelo coming back in 1509, being commissioned by the Pope to draw the Holy Family, and then all this was put together. Then King James took his, but that's a whole nother stuff. But the Nation Conference is there. It's in 13 volumes. I've read it. How they sat down and they put all of this together. It was not, and then they would tell 40 holy men wrote the Bible, but only for you to find out that the 40 men were professors from Oxford and from other places commissioned by Jim, because him and the Pope had an argument because the church wanted to have control over removing kings. And Jim said, you got to be crazy. You are in Rome and I'm here in England. And that was before Martin Luther in Germany fought with the Pope also and created his own Gutenberg Bible. And from the Gutenberg Bible, Jim created his to suit the English Empire. And if you look at other, then you can see the variations in there on everybody creating the suit. So, but the basic stuff about having a concept of a higher being, every culture have that. What you call religion is actually culture. You revere your culture because within the culture that lies your fundamental elements that guide you, the moral codes of conduct is within your culture. Yeah, and that is what is taken. That is why I keep saying, until we can go back to our culture and look at it and examine it and then bring it up to the level where we can modernize it, where it suits us, we're going to be shooting blank, because the prescription, the instruction we are going by spiritually and ideologically is all wrong. But look, coming back to this, it's not whether the white man can own land or the Nigerian. Remember, the whites or non-Africans are more aggressive. If you know the history of how we got here, where we are today, it's not just the whites in Europe, the Asians, the Indians, the Arabs, all work together when it comes to keeping Africans down, because they know who you are. We're the one who don't know who we are. Because at one point, you actually ruled the world. See what you did in Spain from 711 to 1485, almost 1,000 years. You ruled Europe. See what you did in Southeast Asia, where today India and Bangladesh, where General Ganji from Ethiopia led the army and they went in there and captured that area. So everybody know who we are. So let me let you know, it is only us. So when you talk about the Nigerian and the Ghanaian, we are similar in culture, in ideal, in everything else. We do not have the imperialistic mindset to come in and want to conquer. No Nigerian really want to come in and to tell other Nigerians, come, let us get together so that we can conquer Liberia and control the whole area and subjugate this whole. We don't have that kind of imperialistic mindset. Gaddafi, do you know what Sudan is like that? Gaddafi was one of the leading people. Went to the Arab League continuously, that the land is vast. They don't know what they're doing. Come in, bring more people so that we can Arab or Islamize the land. He was responsible for bringing a whole bunch of Arabs in.
That's a whole different debate.
I'm just saying something here, opening it up, because you are trying to look at the difference between opening up the Nigerian and Guinean, what the threat. So I'm saying opening it up to Negroes, create no actual threat. on a institutional and structural stage where they will have the mindset that they're going to call all their brothers from Nigeria, from Guinea, to come and control the country. The Lebanese will come together, opening, giving them political power. You see the amount of Lebanese and Indians and people that will flood into Liberia, and they will actually work together. Look, Malcolm said this. He said, in order for us to unite with other people, we must first learn to unite among ourselves.
I think we need to put a debate together on this subject alone. It's very interesting. It's very informative and educational. Thank you, Tao. Let's welcome one of Koyunen Fremont, a good friend who is joining us. Koyunen, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. And I was following the show, and I see people mostly giving out conspiracy theory and open racism and those kinds of things. So I decided to come online and confront it head on.
And you are here. Thank God you are a legal mind, because the debate also borders on legality.
Yeah.
And Pearson couldn't have put it so succinctly. The whole citizenship debate, it borders on economic, it border on what's the other part you mentioned? There's the economic aspect of it.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and there's a legal there's a legality aspect. So go ahead. Let me
when we come on the show, we should talk facts. You can't come on the show and say that Black people can be citizens in America. All these kinds of things now is not fair. Because
nobody said that, man. Correct yourself.
No, give me a chance. I just got on the page. I heard it from Tao.
No,
I heard it from Tao.
Didn't say Black people can be citizens.
I said I heard it. I heard it from Tao. That's what I heard. So give me a chance. Let me make my point.
Give me a chance.
That's what I heard. Give me a chance. Let me make my point.
No,
that's why I came on the air. Give me a chance. Let me make my point. This is not the way you conduct a show. Give me 2 minutes. Let me make my point. You have your time to make your point.
False allegation, we have to put your point.
When I false allegation, I heard Tao. And even the host told Tao that he was not making a legal case. The host said it.
Yeah,
so it's not
that point you were making was discrimination. That's why he was preaching.
Yeah, he said he was not making a legal case when he talked about how Black can be citizen and all of that. He was not making a legal case.
Black cannot be citizen in America. Man, stop it, man.
Yeah, man, I heard him. He said there.
And I pushed back on him. He said it's coded.
Yeah.
It's coded. Go ahead, Koyunen.
You have more than 1 hour, so give me a chance. The Liberia problem has very little to do with white skin or black skin. Liberia problem is a rule of law problem. Liberia problem is a governance problem. When we talk about opening up citizenship, it is not a limitation to Lebanese or Indians. It could be a scientist from any part of the world. It could be an engineer from any part of the world. So you can't limit the argument to say, it must be Lebanese or it must be Indian. The second thing is that I'm an investment lawyer. The issue of citizenship is an integral part of almost every investment law you can think about in any country. Investment is tied to citizenship and identity. There is no country you can tell me that you can talk investment without talking citizenship. In fact, there are countries, so many of them, that tie citizenship directly to investment in terms of the amount of money that you invest, and mostly small countries, because most small countries cannot compete with larger countries in terms of population and in terms of market size. So the only way they generally compete is to open citizenship up to people who want to invest. You talk about places like in the Caribbean, places in Asia, a lot of places in Africa, Mauritius, the places where some of these people go and enjoy themselves and take pictures and post it and say they are feeding fine. And many of these places have laws tied to citizenship. So you can't separate investment from citizenship. That's one thing. The other thing I want you to know is that when you read a law, there's always limitation. Even as citizens of Liberia, there are limitations. So there is no citizen that will have unrestricted access to maybe political office or have unrestricted access to land. When you read a law, there's always limitation on how much land an individual can own, how long he can own it, what he can do with it, all of that. So all this scaremongering that, when you open citizenship up, there are a lot of small countries in the Caribbean that have opened citizenship up. There is no, and a lot of the countries are way, advanced more than Liberia. You don't see a trunk of people going over there to take over the land, subject the people to renew slavery. While it is true that historically, Liberia had a case, but that was 1826. I'm not talking even 1926. We are talking 2026, when the competition is in scientific knowledge, it's in information and communication technologies, it's in artificial intelligence. The competition is not merely about land now. That's where the competition is. So when you think about the citizenship, think about attracting people with brains, with knowledge, people who understand technology, people that you can bring to help your country. And all these things, and we who are quote unquote educated, we have to inform our people instead of scaremongering. Some people presenting total lies and presenting it as, some people presenting conspiracy theory. We can't discuss this thing. We have to discuss it with facts, with law. We can't just bring a lot of emotion and scaremongering and try to scare the population. So I will rest on that initial note.
Okay. So
let me do a follow-up with Koyine. Let's go give Koyine another time. And I'm glad that you came in to balance the debate. And that's why I've been trying to push the two gentlemen, right? Look, and that's why I even brought the religious aspect of it. All right. The world we live in today, we can't be making decisions because of the ugly past. If we open our country up to citizenship anybody from any country can become citizen, they're not. Why are we protecting the land? They're not going to take the land. It will bring development. At the end of the day, you and myself will be gone. The land will be here. So I don't see what we're protecting here, and how not opening up citizenship will even develop Liberia. So Tao, you say you wanted to come in.
Okay, so look
Before
at
you come in, I just want to say something very quick.
I'm not saying anything.
I was able to establish just with a quick Google search that we have 100 countries, over 100 countries that have some form of investment-related citizenship programs, over 100. So stop misleading the people and stop scaremongering. I have to say there is a whole trunk of foreigners lining up that once you open citizenship up, they're going to come over and take over the whole Liberia, because every law can be written with restriction. So if you want to limit the land ownership, you can write it in the law and it can be limited as to how much land an individual can own. But the competition now around the world is not about land per se, it's about technology, it's about knowledge, it's about science. And those are the people you're trying to attract.
Fair point there. Let me come to you, Dr. Pearson, because even the dual citizenship, those of us who are diaspora Liberians are enjoying today, there is limitation, there is restriction. If I'm an American citizen and I still want to hold my Liberian citizens, which the law has granted us, I cannot run for president, I cannot run for representative or senator. I can't do that because I hold dual citizenship. Even though our brothers who passed the law know that I was born there. But they are saying because you acquire another citizenship, you don't have the right to run as senator and representative. That citizenship still, right? So I just wanted to throw that there, and let me allow you to come in, Dr. Pearson.
Anthony, I will begin with where you stop. Your own Liberian brethren who are typical black skin native Liberians are politicians in the country today. The country is impoverished and they are greedy and they are undermining the entire development of the country, and they're only looking out for themselves. And they are natural born Liberians, treating their own people the way they're treating them. Not foreigners, not foreigners. Let me leave that.
Yeah.
You're not talking a lot of gibberish outside of context, right? Speak in context. You say, oh, there are hundreds of other countries out there that will open citizenship connected to investment. What are the logistical, nationalistic, legal framework governing those countries? What's the structure of those countries? What's defining the country's success? Name me one African country in West Africa that was developed by white people. Name me one. Name me one that was developed by white people because of skin wear and they went to develop.
Are you suggesting the point is that the citizenship should be open so that white people can come develop Liberia? Is that what you think his point is?
His premise is false and misleading. And another false and misleading point he raised about investment and citizenship is that business people are influenced by their citizenship. That's false. A businessman is influenced by the conduciveness of the environment for investment. And for anybody to keep good bit of money somewhere,
use the word is tied to citizenship.
What I use the word
investment is tied to citizenship.
What I use the word no businessman built his business foundation on citizenship. He based it on the conducive environment and the opportunity for him to accrue profit.
A point of correction. A point of correction. I said many countries have citizenship requirement tied to investment. I didn't say that they are basing their investment on citizenship. The country makes an offer that if you invest 1 million or if you invest 2 million, we'll grant you citizenship. So that is part of the calculation for investment. A lot of countries, more than $100, countries do that now.
You're just injecting. I addressed that. I told you, I said your premise is wrong because you're not looking at context. What is the system in those countries? What are systems in those countries? What are the legal framework that are protecting those countries?
So Liberia doesn't have law and legal framework to protect its country?
What is the soundness of leadership in those countries? What is the soundness of leadership? Are they like our men who go past concession, like you hold the Ukraine here, you say, we shouldn't put people buying of it. Metal contract, how do you call it, group here, to the people there.
Or APM.
APM,
Meta.
Don't book us companies. We can even get our politicians to make sound decisions on those failed concessions. Then you want to open it up to what? No, that's what I'm saying. You gotta look at the context. Let me go to another thing I want to say, Anthony. Let me say here. I understand. Even in Ghana, right next door to us, the citizenship, when they open up to white people, the citizenship, they say they get extended loan holding, which means extended lease holding, which means if you are West skin and you want to own land, you can own it for up to 99 years. Anthony, right? Then the natural born Ghanaians, the black skin people can own it. They call it free holding. So yeah, I know there can be other, but that's not my argument. My argument here is separate from that of Tawu also has a valid argument, is the vulnerability of the current population we have, the vulnerability of the system that we have, the crookedness of the politicians that we have.
That is a corruption problem.
80% of the prime properties we got in Monrovia itself, along the single belt, in Monrovia, is owned by the Lebanese people. Go look it up. 80% of prime properties. I'm talking about kitchen prime properties owned by Lebanese people. In the name of so many using other people, Liberians, as fronts to do those things. What we're talking here, look, I don't think we need somebody to get citizenship because they want to invest in the country. If the environment is conducive, if the country is conducive for investment, investors will invest.
Look, I disagree with that thing because Liberia was independent since 1847. If anybody has better laws, Liberia has better laws than a lot of these countries. So if you have a rule of law problem, if you have a law enforcement problem, then that's the problem you have. You solve the law enforcement problem. If you have a governance problem, then that's the problem you have. But in this day and age, people are in search of knowledge. It is knowledge that builds countries. America is not built because of land. America is built because a lot of people who have brains from other countries come here, people like Tao, and they take American citizenship and they benefit from it and contribute to America. Then they look at their own country and say, no, what I'm benefiting from is not good for Liberia. The competition now is with scientific knowledge.
And let me add to what you were saying. America is not built because the people here are white.
So
China is not built because their skin also look white or they are Asian.
No,
Right? Those places are built because they provided leadership.
yeah, Anthony.
that's
They
it.
have the technical
Anthony.
expertise and the governance and the leadership for them to develop their country. It's not necessarily because of their color.
Yeah,
Because they
Anthony.
have white countries that are in disintegration, and they have black countries that are successful.
Yeah.
You know, and many of the countries that we go to and we admire, like Botswana, Namibia, even
Rwanda.
some of those people, they have open citizenship. So you can come to America, you take American citizenship, you benefit, you and your family benefit, you stay in America, you refuse to go to Liberia, and you see what is making America great, then you turn around and say, no, what is making America great is not good for Liberia. This is hypocrisy.
Yeah, because we are poor.
Anthony.
Yeah.
Dr.
Just
Pearson, please.
30 seconds. Look,
Pearson, you're just speaking gibberish. You need to keep quiet, let the other man speak.
No. You don't
No,
talk to your
he
friend
said it
about
first
you
to
to
me.
keep
He
quiet.
said he told me first earlier that I was speaking gibberish, so that's why I responded to him.
just give me 30 seconds.
He said it to me first.
Yeah, my brother, I accept the gibberish, right?
Yeah, you're speaking gibberish. Okay, other people a chance to talk.
Look, just give me 30 seconds.
Go ahead, Pearson.
Speak in context. Liberia is not Botswana. Liberia is not any of the Caribbean countries. Botswana, Southern African countries, Ethiopia, and other places, they had whites dominating them before. They had light skin people dominating them before. Even the Morocco, they had white skin dominating them before. The South Africa, they had white skin dominating. They were already citizens there. The Caribbean.
I don't understand the emphasis on skin color.
Hold on,
No,
One at a time, please.
Liberia is a unique case in point. Liberia did not start off with white domination. No. So our case is unique. So I agree with you. Other countries in Africa may have dual citizenship because the black were fighting for citizenship when the white were already citizens. And they were not. They had to fight to get the citizenship. We did not fight to get citizenship in Liberia. We were the first black republic. So yeah, put your facts together, right?
Okay.
All right, Tao.
Yeah. So look at what happened here. The counselor came here, accused me of conspiracy theories, and then he said nothing. Because what he said was the very thing that I said as a premise on which we should function. That opening, then I say that opening up citizenship is not the issue. But Liberia does not have the structures and the government and all of the stuff in place like the other areas that have it. So what we should be focused on first is we should build those things, make the laws that then will protect the local population so they are not left to be vulnerable. That is what I said, and that is exactly what I said.
His point to you was you had said that citizenship is now granted to non-white in America, and you are speaking about
I'm gonna come to that.
It's illegal.
It's two things. I'm going to come to that. I'm addressing the Liberia issue first because in the first thing he misunderstood me. And if the counselor is here and he don't understand this, then it means he's lost in America. So if we he talking about the Caribbean, all these places, go and look at their laws. Go and look at how their government are functioning. He's saying if it is corruption problem, then we should fix it. And that is the whole point out. We have corruption problem. We have leadership problem. So let us solve that problem first. That is the discussion here. And that is exactly what he pointed out. So where he came from that we're creating fear mongering when he said the same thing.
Okay, so why you will want to hold on to American citizenship?
Yeah,
hold on to American citizenship, benefit from America, and contribute to American greatness, and say it's not good for Liberia.
You are talking.
Then you come in. Go ahead.
Yeah, you didn't say anything exactly what we're saying. But because you want to act like your investment bank or lawyer, what does that have to do with anything? They so have nothing to do with investment law. It have to do with the survival and the life of a people, the value of people, and they are defined by land. Let's know this. There is no investment law around this. People without land are lost. And what we see happening, we don't have the government that will create the right laws and have the right institution to enforce anything. So when we say Ghana, they say 99 yet. Do we have that? Do we have the governance structure in place? So since we don't have it, we don't want to create another problem. They say if you get the iron ore mine to Lamco or to this other person,
So he said we have the laws, we have the institutions, but they are not working.
Yeah, they are not working.
We have corruption problem.
Our argument is
we
that
have law enforcement problem. We have a governance problem. It's not
let's
that we don't have
solve that
this
problem first, and that is what we are saying. Let's solve it first. Then, when we solve it, we know that it's working. Then we come to this. Let us not have something that is not working, and we throw something else in there. It's not working, and we say we'll give the mine to Lamco or to Asla Metal. It will make us rich. We give it to them. What did it lead to? Because the same thing that he pointed out, the laws are there, but the governing system and everything is not working. So we should throw more things in there. So let's solve that. The last thing I will come to this American stuff. The man here, you don't even know my status in America. So stop making an assumption that I'm a U.S. citizen. That's one. Two, I never said, I said nationality and ethnicity. That's the two that are defined. You're a black man, you're a U.S. citizen. But to be American, you're actually white. And we saw it here.
And there where I disagree, Charles.
No, we saw
I disagree with you.
Let me ask you something. You were just here just last month when we were looking for who is a citizen, who is not. Did you see them stop any white person to say whether you're a citizen?
That is discrimination. That is racial profiling. That is completely different. It's not legal.
In the entire structure. If you want to deny it, that's fine. You can. I'm not
denying it. I'm telling you that the reality is discrimination.
Even the African that they brought here for over 400 years, they didn't call them American. They say African American. It's encoded. All of the laws are made to relegate other people that are non-white. When they were looking for immigration law, where were they? You were here.
So, Anthony, they challenged me on African countries. They challenged me on African countries that are giving you a whole long list of African countries that have investment-related citizenship program. What do they have to say about that?
But that is not the point. That you see,
but that's the point we're discussing. Because I'm telling you that there are so many countries that have tied citizenship laws to investment. So I'm saying,
but Charles, you talk about economic power, right?
A working government in place that we done. So let us work to put those in place and let it be working. Then
every country in the world got corruption. There is no country that don't have corruption. So you can say that because we have corruption, so we cannot be open-minded with citizenship when citizenship is tied to investment. Have you ever wondered, let me just say something, growing up in Liberia, have you ever wondered why the Asians that normally come have a store downstairs and an apartment upstairs and that's all they do? And they build a mansion in their home. You build a mansion in your home because that's where you call home. If somebody say, okay, I make this place your home, you will build a mansion where you call home. It's just natural. So the idea that people will be flexible with citizenship is because people feel more comfortable splashing more money, spending more, which is tied to both investment and employment. You think the other countries that are offering path to citizenship for investment and other things, you think they're stupid? They're not stupid. They have corruption too. But they are saying, okay, irrespective of the corruption, we can put limit, we can put restriction. There's no law without restriction. We can put restriction. But you can be here refusing to go to Liberia, benefiting from America, using your skills to make America great, holding on to American citizenship or residency, and then saying that it's not good for Liberia. This is hypocrisy. You need to stop.
No, let me push back on that. First of all, you are the one who is hypocritical Because if I look carefully, you have horse in Liberia, you ran to be government official in Liberia. I think you wanted to be president out of that. So why you cannot stay in America and say you're citizen? Why you can just stay at one time?
I'm just visiting.
Oh, but then why you not home in Liberia?
I'm visiting.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the point? No, I'm telling you that I want the country to be open. You say the country should not be open. So you're the one being more hypocritical.
No, that's where your citizenship is. That's where your neighbor stream buried. Why are you not in Liberia? Why you?
It doesn't stop you from traveling. Or you can be open-minded.
In Burger King. Why you can go in Liberia and spend your money in the Kobo shop in La Papido?
All right, gentlemen.
La can build a supermarket tomorrow.
Gentlemen,
let me tell you something.
Gentlemen, hold on, gentlemen. This has been a spirited discussion and debate, and I'm enjoying it. But we have to come to a close. We have 5 minutes left to be 2 hours. We can schedule this again tomorrow and continue the conversation. This is good for our country. It is informative, and then we will all have a much clearer and better understanding of this so-called Negro clause in our Constitution, whether it is beneficial to us or whether it's preventing a lot of economic development in our country. So that is why we need to discuss that. And so, gentlemen, with that said, I will get your parting comment. Tao, you want to go first? We are closing, and I'll be monitoring you.
The lawyer came here and said people are acting emotional, and he is sparing all kinds of, he's spreading all kinds of assumptions. He don't even know me. Do you even know how much investment I have in?
Say who you are in America, so the people can know. Say who you are. Say it.
No.
Gentlemen,
I feel you're American citizen. So say it.
I have investments in Liberia. Right now, I'm building office buildings. I have people that are hired. In the last
I don't want us to go to that.
I want to address this because the problem with Africans is that the moment a discussion comes up, when they cannot have the discussion.
I think you are speaking in general terms. This is the reality that applies to a lot of us.
Yes, that's what I was saying. I'm not talking about you in particular.
You say I'm here enjoying America. I don't want to go to Liberia.
People like you. That's what I'm saying. I'm not just saying you in particular.
Yeah, but everything I do here, I have investment.
Parents say it's an American citizen.
No, I have investment in Liberia. I have in the last 10 years almost 30 people from high school to college. Some of them in China right now, in Ghana, some of them in India. They just come back.
Where that money coming from? Are you investing? Where it coming from?
I want you to know, because I'm not just here.
Where that money coming from? Are you investing? Where it coming from?
It's not where the money. It's not the money come from here.
Where it coming from?
I don't invest it here.
Where are you generating it from?
That is not the point. The point is
that's the point. Where are you generating it from? If you are not allowed to work here, where are you generating it from?
I want to deny Liberia.
Yes, that's what I see.
Where he generated the money
you come to the people country, you benefit, you live your good life because they allow you to come here and benefit. But you are telling Liberian that no, that benefit is not good for you. It's only good for me, Tao. That's what you're saying.
What are you talking about? I did not look at.
All right, gentlemen.
The lawyer is completely.
Tao, you are protected. Let Tao get it close, gentlemen.
He keep interrupting me because he have
no
point.
You have 30 seconds, please.
Yeah. He's all over the place. Trying to say, he's trying to say that.
Just focus on your closing.
The closing here, the point here is that Liberia is not prepared for them to open up the country for citizenship to create political power for people who generally are in the country already with the economic power. Whether you can say 1,000 other countries have that, but they have the governing structure and they have the enforcement capability and they have all the little fences around there to regulate that. We don't have it. So our focus, if that is what we want, our focus should be then we should put all the things in place, create a government that is actually working, that then can referee those things. Then we can look at it. And that is what we should.
And you are talking about the political power now, because the economic power, they have it already. They use it.
That will lead to political power. So you cannot have a group of people. The reason he's saying that we only limit it to the white men or Lebanese Indians, because right now that's the people that have the economic power.
Thank you.
In Liberia, and they're based there. So opening it up for them to also gain citizenship, you are hindering both political and economic power that they already have. That is not fear mongering. That's a reality.
Thank you, Tao. Thank you so very much. Your contribution here has been solid. It reached the discussion. Dr. Pearson, your closing.
Thank you, Anthony. It's been a good show. And let me say this in my closing. It is one thing to have a conversation around the interests of Liberia, and it's another thing to just make noise, right? This matter is not a matter of making noise. This matter is just not a matter about calling people names and trying to call them out as though you're more patriotic and more concerned about Liberia development than any other person. Zero. Nada. People are passionate about this thing because of the historical context in which the Constitution was written. Article 27B is not written in isolation of Article 27A. Article 27B is a buttress and a protective regime to Article 27A. Only Liberian citizens can own land in Liberia. Article 27B comes to buttress and said, in protection of that, people of no descent can have citizenship in Liberia. Are there other countries that are opening citizenship up in Africa towards citizens? Yes. Is it bad for them? Probably no. They know their strength. They know what they're depending on. Is Liberia a context by itself? Yes. Liberia has structural problems. We have legal governance. We got leadership problems. We got poverty as a major issue. Over 80% of our population are in abject poverty. And land is a fundamental right of a citizen. And if Liberia should open up its doors right now, no amount of what you call reason can solve that problem. It does not work like that. It does not work like that. And we should ensure that Liberia first develop a structure. The people in the country should be able to be removed from poverty to a certain level where they are able to live a decent life, get a better wage, a living wage, can keep their own families, and can protect their own interests if they have to compete with a higher financing population. Simple as that. The Lebanese people can still do their business. The Indian people can still do their business. Anybody who wants to invest in Liberia, if the climate is good, they can come and invest. If the climate is not good, they will not invest. Even if the citizens, they will not invest. If somebody wants to keep huge amount of money they make in the economy, if the economy is not stable, they will keep the money aside. So that's not rocket science. It's simple common sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Koine?
Yes. I don't think the Liberian people should pay a lot of attention to people who come to the US, benefit from the atmosphere of openness, get rich, and turn around and say what made them rich or what made them got money today is not good for Liberia. The world today is competing on knowledge, science, technology. That's why it's competing on, not necessarily land. Okay? There are more than 100 countries. You just say how many countries have investment laws tied to citizenship. Citizenship is always a function of investment. I'm saying it as an investment lawyer, Tayo. You're proud to say you're an engineer. I'm proud to say I'm an investment lawyer. And I'm telling you that investment is always, citizenship is always a function of investment decision. So when people are able to be citizens, they feel more comfortable investing in a country. And it promotes development, it promotes employment opportunities, and what have you. There are always restrictions on laws. No law is indefinite. So when you pass a law, no one person can say they can own indefinite amount of land because there is restriction on law. When a person is a dual citizenship, there are other political restrictions. It's in every country. So nobody should tell you that other countries, so many countries, a country that is almost 200 years old cannot tell you say we're not ready yet. It's like some people who grew up to 50, 60 and still calling themselves Peking, how Liberia want to continuously be. Every day you say, oh, we fought war. You're not even fighting for war. Rwanda fought war. Sierra Leone fought war. Nigeria fought war. Everybody else fought war. So if you have a corruption problem, say you have a corruption problem. If you have a rule of law problem, say you have a rule of law problem. But if in this modern day and age, investment consideration and citizenship are always factors that people consider in order to invest. And if you prevent more people from becoming citizens, you are also preventing more investment from coming to your country. These guys who are talking at you, they are not investment professionals, so they don't know what they are talking. They're just talking out of what, maybe I would say, lack of knowledge, because they don't know that investment is almost always tied to citizenship. It is not just open-ended, and that's why a lot of countries tie their investment law to citizenship. So don't follow them because they live in America, they got American people, they benefit, they got riches from America, and they're telling you what made America great is not good for Liberia. And that's a false narrative to give to the people.
Thank you, Koinen. Thank you, Dr. Pearson. Tao, thank you. I mean, there has been a very enriching and informative discussion and debate. Here's my take. And I agree with Koinen like 99.9%. Liberia is about 179 years old. And we are saying we're not ready yet. When will you be ready to open citizenship to other nationals who have expertise and resources to come and invest in your country? It is something that attracts investment. America is powerful today because of immigration. I'm here, I'm working. They collect taxes from me. Every attempt I make, whether I'm shopping it online on Amazon, U.S. government collects a tax. If I get paid, it collects tax. Any move you make to spend money. And that is the economic power America holds. Think about it this way. If all the Liberians, or let's say if all the Black people in America decide to leave in a single day, there will be a zero economic crisis in America here. There it would be a huge chunk of the U.S. economy that would tank. And you see Chinese are coming here and investing. Indians are coming here and investing. We created the purchasing power here. That's why America is bullshitting. Excuse me for my French. Real power is in economic power. Immigration can drive economic power. You think American people love you and myself so much that why they gave you visa?
Send a moderator bias. I mean, just throw one monkey range for
He's
you.
not biased, he's giving you a last position.
I mean, you hire your closing and doing my closing.
So China ain't got no Black citizen. So China is well developed like America, and even the fastest growing economy, they got no Black citizen. Let me make that clear to you too.
Maybe you didn't understand my point. Are there not American investors in China?
But they are not citizens.
They are not
They
citizens.
don't have to be citizens. They may be residents. They may be investors.
Because the environment is conducive. Because the environment is conducive and it's stable.
Thank you. But I'm telling you, I use America as an example. So in Liberia, we need to open up the citizenship.
No, we need to
with
put
restrictions
in place.
We need to open the citizenship that this thing is belated. Liberia, for me, I'm a dual citizen. There are restrictions on me, even though I was born in Liberia. I accept that. So the citizenship thing we're talking about, we are not saying that there shouldn't be restriction. That is not the argument. But it is the economic and development aspect that it will bring to Liberia. That's why we have to, because even if we open, I mean, other people want to become citizens in Liberia, they want to go and invest. Ghana is doing it, other people are doing that. Why investment flowing? Those elements help a whole lot. And so to say we are not ready yet, you think corruption will be solved in Liberia? You know your leaders. You know all the leaders we have today. I guarantee you, give them the next 20 years, they will not solve the problem that you are talking about today. So let me guarantee you, that means we will not open citizenship to other nationals. We will never do that.
It's open
if your logic is something that will go back.
Non-Negroes. The citizenship is open. just not to people that are not
And
black.
that's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
So,
That more than
gentlemen,
half of the world. You're closing it to more than half of the world.
It's not true.
Gentlemen, we are
Africans make
human
more than half
beings.
of the world.
We are human beings. We should be able to open our arms to everybody, no matter how the person looks. They are not going to take your land.
See,
Y'all
that's
put it
a
up on
religion
record
will
right
take
now.
you
The whole thing I see here is
Anthony, I
about
think
land.
okay now because you're the host.
Y'all put it up on record
religion,
right
and
now.
you just like
I'm the host,
But you should
religion
bring
now.
Tao back for me on a one-on-one. I won't host Tao on this particular
Yeah,
program.
all
So I
right.
can talk about his American citizenship
gentlemen.
and his American residency.
Yeah, y'all put
All
up.
right.
Y'all put up.
Oh, you
Y'all put
ever
up
my
on
mother
record
tell
right
me
now.
ever, right?
Yeah,
You ever my mother
You the
tell
American
me
citizen,
ever,
Tao, most likely is an American
Yeah,
citizen.
we got
So,
to American
So, gentlemen, I can't thank you enough to our
Y'all put it
audience.
up on
Thanks so
record right now.
much for staying with us throughout this very lively and
defeated.
informative debate. And I'm sure you learned a lot. There were some things you didn't have clarity on why we should not open citizenship to non-Negro. You might have picked up some things that are clear, and you might also pick up some things that are clear to you now that, hey, I think we need to open it up. I don't see what damage it will do if we do so. On that note, the song says, we are all Liberians, and that song is closing the broadcast right now. Thank you for coming and watching and everything else.
We are Liberians.